Okay, so we're gonna do a little story time of when I was borderline harassed on the street while walking my niece home from preschool. So this happened a few years ago when I was in my late 20s. And for context, my brother and my sister-in-law do live on a somewhat busy road. So I was used to pulling my niece's stroller over to the side just so that people could pass me. So most people would go around me almost before I had the chance to fully pull over. They would just kind of veer over and go around me. Um, but this one time, I pulled over and there's this woman and she didn't pass me. She just like stayed there and I kept like waiting for her to pass and waiting and waiting and waiting. I waited for, it was probably only like 30 or 40 seconds, but it felt like a very long time, especially since normally, like I said, other people would just zoom on past. So I finally just gave up and got back onto the road because I am not going to push my niece's stroller through bumpy gravel. I'm just not going to do that. So I pulled back into the road and I just kept walking and she never passed me. She was just behind me and it was really weird because there was people behind her too. So she's holding other people up because there's like, I think one or two other cars behind her at this point. So it was just really weird. And finally, I'm getting close to my house and I start to like just cut in front of her because she's not passing me. She's not going to at this point. So I eventually just kind of I go to like cut in front of her and then she cuts me off. And she could have hit me if I hadn't been careful. And she just rolls down her window and starts talking to me. And she was pretty aggressive. First she was like, "Is this your child?" And I was like, "No, this is my niece." And then she was just, I don't remember entirely everything she said, but she was essentially like, "This is a really dangerous road. I'm really scared for your safety. Like, I'm very concerned." Like, she said that to me. And then, she was like, I've been seeing you do this all year, which I'm like, that's literally bizarre. Like, she's been watching me do this all year or seeing me. She's like, I've seen you like all year, or seen you do this. Mind you, this is towards the end of the school year, so there was only like maybe a couple more weeks left that I'd be doing this, and that's when she decides to confront me. So she's like, "I've been seeing you do this," and she was like, I'll tell you right now, I'm very concerned. I really am. And I know what it was is I was, I think, 27, and I probably looked like I was barely old enough to drive. So in hindsight, I should have just talked to her and said, "I'm not trying to be rude, but I'm a lot older than you think. I have my driver's license. I'm very street smart." I should have just confronted her and said, "Everyone else passes me on this road almost before I can pull over, and you chose not to. That's on you." I should have just said something, but I was honestly so shaken up and upset by that. But yeah, that was crazy. And frankly, it was borderline harassment. I mean, if it had been much worse, I would have considered calling the cops on her. Frankly, if she had done it again, I was pretty sure I was going to. I was gonna like talk to my brother and sister-in-law about it and be like, "Hey, what should I do?" But then I realized, of course, there's not many weeks left of school. Like, if this had happened at the beginning of the school year, I would have been like, "Okay, what do I do if this happens again?" But yeah, it was thankfully near the end of the school year. But yeah, that's my borderline getting harassed on the street story. Because I did not look old enough to be walking my niece home from preschool. So, never judge someone by their looks, people. She very easily could have asked, "How old are you?" And I would have told her I'm 27. Knowing her though, she probably wouldn't have believed me, but anyway, there you go. There's your story time for the day. So ask the appropriate questions about people before you make a judgment, because you never know. But yeah, have a great day, guys.